I didn't really understand or connect that I was in an abusive relationship, but apparently all these people thought that they could help me, and they convinced me to show up. So I did. I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you if I hadn't have walked through the doors of DAP. I was so quiet and shy and hiding in my life prior to DAP helping me to be who I really am and to create boundaries in my life.
DAP is the first place that I ever felt safe, probably in my whole life. I think what we see with kids who experience trauma or who witness abuse, we grow up and repeat that pattern because those are the tools that we have to live.
Like, maybe I don't remember it, but I witnessed that change in her. And if that change happened in her, it had to have happened in myself.
We were founded in 1979, and that really is part of the beginning of the domestic violence movement. We were founded to create a program for men who are abusive to help them stop their abusive behavior, and immediately recognized that not only did men need help to stop their abusive behavior, but women needed help to heal from what they'd been through, the trauma of the violence in their life that maybe had gone on for years.
I was abusive with my wife, and she had requested some separation, and then through the courts, her advocate suggested that I take the program here at DAP. Just because I went through a tough time growing up, or that some of this behavior was passed on from generation to generation, it doesn't mean it has to continue with me, and that I can make the right decisions and better choices that prevent my kids from having to go through what I went through.
I hear so much about people that are passionate about eliminating domestic violence and people that want to make a change in our community, and that includes so many of our community partners, but they spend their time volunteering at DAP and they donate their money to DAP because of the innovative way that we impact and focus on every single member of the family.
I donate to DAP because I appreciate that the services here are empowering survivors, strengthening families, and also addressing domestic violence through men's programs as well.
We're trying to really break the cycle of violence so that it doesn't continue, and we're not just addressing it with one person who may be involved in the situation, but in fact the whole family, so that they can all get the help and the healing that they need.
One program that we have that looks at early intervention is our early childhood therapy program. We know that domestic violence is something that absolutely passes on intergenerationally. 90% of the clients in our program are folks that have experienced domestic violence as children. And so by providing that service and working with our littlest witnesses of domestic violence, we're able to help caregivers articulate and put words to what their children have experienced, and that's important for both the child, who doesn't have that language, and for the caregiver to start to think about what that experience was like for their child, not just for themselves.
I owe a lot to DAP and what they did for my son. He was at an age where he's not quite understanding the circumstance. He saw what he saw, but giving him a safe space and reminding him he's not alone. I couldn't have done it without that help, that rebuilding, because I was still rebuilding, so I heavily relied on DAP and the people to help me through that, and yeah, it's amazing. Grateful. I'm just grateful.
I am hoping that in 40 years, DAP is still here doing this work if that's what's needed in the community, but that we will continue to innovate.
I think our programming will shift as we continue to learn more about trauma and how it affects the brain and the body and how we interact with each other. But fundamentally, humans need connection and need human connection, so I believe the cornerstone will still be in community.